Today's story was written by Reddit user Silver200061. As Rashatar awakened from his unconsciousness, the smell of wet grass and mud registered in his senses first. Then he realised his face was laying against the damp ground, hands tied behind his back. Confusion hit Rashatar as he attempted to lift himself from the floor. His body ached from both prolonged laying in an uncomfortable posture and battle wounds. His mind is clouded by his period of unconsciousness. He could hear voices and activity around, but the language is oddly familiar but incomprehensible. Light sang as he opened his eyes. His retina slowly adjusted, then begins to take in the environment around him. This is a human camp. As realization sets in, Rashatar attempted to free himself from whatever bound his hands and tried to stand up, but was rudely interrupted by a sharp pain at the back of his head, caused by some hard object smacking into it. His legs gave out and he kneed the ground again, followed by a growly human voice. "Stay put, you giant dog." Pain stimulated his dull mind, and memories began to fade back in bits and pieces. The battle, the charge, hail of projectiles, the boomsticks, that damn Tin Man that bested him. He could hear angry yet familiar voices swearing in Sidician, and some calling for his name in concern from his left. He resisted the pain and forced his head to turn. It was Shah Shimali, a rider of his war host, and a few others of it were here as well, and ones from other hosts too, all tied up and forced in this shameful sight by the humans, the Savannians. What happened? Rashatar asked. Though his ego prevented him from fully comprehending his defeat and capture, Rashatar still wanted to fully understand the situation. The low-life mudborn tricked us. They concealed a ditch in front of their boomstick sorcerers. Our war beasts were slain between our legs, and we were forced to fight on foot. Then came the treacherous Tin Men, the Knights. By God knows what dark magic they... With reluctance, Jamali spit out the words with spite. They defeated us. Nay-Corcrux is killed, and the rest of the hosts retreated. The master of 100 hosts is killed? How? Rashatar was shocked. The honoured Corcrux is a veteran warrior with years of experience in battle, undefeated through the numerous campaigns they led. He was shot dead by a boom barrel when he tried to rally the hosts, Shah Shimali said with bitterness on his tongue. Before Rashatar could inquire more, a Tin Man, but not quite one, approached. He lacked the elegant footing of one, and his armour did not cover his body fully, as his shin and feet were exposed, nor is it as ornated as a proper Tin Man. Rashatar recalled human captives called them cuirassiers. Still, he was still able to identify this human as a high-ranking personnel in the Savannian military. He watched as this cuirassier officer approached the soldiers that were guarding them, and began to exchange conversation. Rashatar couldn't quite make out their expression, nor could he understand human tongue. He would not lower himself to such foul language of the mudborns. After a few words, the Savannian officer came closer to the captured giants. Though on their knees, the Sidicians were still around the same height as an adult human male. The officer stared sharply at the first prisoner of the line, Shartok of the Golden Axe war host. Then he pulled out his wheel-lock pistol on his belt and shot through Shartok's head. Rashatar and the others' roar come as soon as the ring of gunshot echoed around the camp. Some tried to raise up, attempting to pounce on the officer and tear into his throat with teeth if necessary, but was either held down by a few human soldiers or received the same beating as Rashatar did. "Where is the honour of killing a defenceless opponent, mudborn?" Rashatar growled. "I demand you release me and conduct a just fight." The human cuirassier officer stopped cocking his other wheel-lock pistol. His head snapped towards Rashatar, then surprised all the present Sidician prisoners as he spoke fluent, though heavily accented, Sidician. "Honour?" His puzzled tune began to degrade into laughter, then into rage. "Honour? How dare you speak of honour?" The human officer growled. He stepped closer at a quick pace and furiously reached out and seized Rashatar's hair and dragged him deeper inside the camp towards the tents of the wounded and the dead. The pain forced Rashatar to move along, half dragged, half scrambling, his rage temporarily halted by this sudden shock and pain. Trossfrau camp followers were tending to the wounded when they were interrupted by the noise and action. Some started peeking out to see the scene outside. When they reached the tents, the cuirassier officer released the shouting and swearing Rashatar, then a strong punch in his face to shut him up again. He placed a firm grip on Rashatar's head and forced him to face the directions of the tents. More bystanders and camp followers wandered out to see what was going on, most of women of various ages. Some gasped as they saw the Sidician giant, and some began to whisper amongst themselves, attempting to understand the situation. "You see those women, giant? They lost their loved ones, their family, their husband, children, friends, acquaintances, due to your raids. Not soldiers, no warriors, but defenceless people, carpenters, smiths, scholars, fishermen, and farmers. We never wanted a war, but you brought this upon yourselves." The Sidician warrior looked around. He could see the rage in their eyes, the hatred so deep as if knives cutting at him. "You dare speak of honour when you commit atrocities upon us? Your hypocrisy disgusts me. There was no honour in this for us. You never saw us as individuals, living beings, nor equals, but prey and challengers for your war game. Now you demand honour from us?" Rashatar wanted to argue back, to throw insults and justify his actions, but at that moment he didn't know what to say. The words choked at his throat, as if those questions were tearing his logical mind bit by bit. Before he could come up with a response, the human officer let go of Rashatar's head and walked in front so that he could see the Sidician giant face to face again. Then he spoke again. "You asked, where is our honour? Our honourable ones are dead. They died at Randburg, Tervansky, Gornbrook, at Valenkaya, Stentia, Norland's Gate, and at Scarletta Rocca." The human slowly cocked his wheel-lock pistol, and a clean click resonated in Rashatar's ears. "And we are the honourless scum that is left." Then a trigger was pulled.